Welcome back to day 56. Today's pose is called Pigeon Pose or Kapotasana. Today's pose, there will be no chair option. So if you want to still get the benefit of opening up the hips, go back to yesterday's pose, reverse pigeon or eye of the needle. Perfect for using the chair, still getting a nice hip opening. Today's pigeon pose is on the floor and is also good for opening up the front of the hips and the thighs. If you find coming into this is a little bit too much, go back to yesterday's and practice again. Just start working to open up the hips, and slowly you can work in towards this pigeon pose today. We'll have optional blocks, 2 blocks perhaps, and a blanket. So let's get started together. We'll take a nice breath, sitting up nice and tall. Take a nice inhale, lengthening the spine, reach the palms overhead, and exhale, lower. We'll add the head raise and look gently up towards the hands. As you exhale, lower chin to the chest, allowing yourself to arrive to your one pose practice today, letting everything else outside go. When you draw the palms overhead next, exhale, palms together and down. All right, I'll demonstrate the pose first, so watch briefly, and then we'll come in together and practice. So have your props, your block and your blanket on your right side of your mat. But again, watch first. There's different ways to come into this and different ways to set up your leg position. So we'll start in a tabletop. Sorry, I'm moving things around just so you can see better. We'll start with our hands ahead of our shoulders. Now, one option to come into this on hands and knees is to bring that right knee forward and towards the outer edge of your mat. Then you can use your left hand and gently draw that left foot across the mat, potentially having your leg almost parallel to the top of the mat. If that's too much for the knee, you can draw that right heel a little bit more under the hip or that left thigh. Now, another way to come into this, I like to do, you come into your downward dog. We'll draw that right knee in and again out to the right side of your mat. You can rest that right foot on the mat and bring that knee down and start to slide that left foot back. Now, I want to look to see back, having my left ankle in line with my left hip. Now the full pose is really coming down onto the hip, but you want to keep your hips nice and level and nice and parallel to the front of your mat. The tendency is to roll over and hang out on that right hip. So if the hips are really tight, they're not on the mat, or you feel like you're a little bit more leaning to the right, level out. As we say, props are our friends. You can use a blanket under the hip and let the hip rest down, and you'll feel it. You'll feel where your hips feel nice and level, less weight on the right and a little more into that left hip, because also not only the goal of stretching and opening your right outer hip, but it's the front of that left thigh and hip. Now, we still may be up a bit higher. You can always use a block, and that's perfectly fine as well. So finding that position, finding the props that work for you. We may start with our hands. I'm going to move this block because it's a little restrictive at the minute, but I'll demonstrate using that blanket. We're going to walk our hands back in towards our legs and think about dipping my chest. I lengthen my spine and drawing my shoulders back. Just depending on where your hands are, this is where the blocks could be helpful to give us a little bit more support. Now, you want to think about not compressing or crunching your lower back, so really think of that lengthening the spine. Think of a little snake or cobra lifting the chest. So wherever you're at, you can bring your hands more forward, arms nice and long for a little more support, even a little bit more forward, but we'll start trying to get the chest nice and open. And then we'll come down to the floor on our arms, and you can either rest your head on your stacked hands or fists or a block. Just make sure we don't jam the neck by pressing our forehead into a block. And while we're here, we want to think about that left hip sort of rolling towards the mat. All right, let's get started, and then I'll talk us through more cues. As we come out, I like to curl my toes under, press back into my downward dog, come down to hands and knees, and we'll move the props to the other side. But we're going to start on the right. So have your blanket and your blocks off to the right side of your mat, within reach. And then try however it feels comfortable for you, starting on hands and knees. Perhaps keeping that left knee down, slide that right knee under the body and out to the outer edge of your mat. Use that left hand and just see without straining that right knee. So if you have any injuries, don't pull on that right foot to bring it over to the left side, under that left hip, or maybe under the center of the hip or on your thigh. Or try the downward dog version. Start in your downward dog. Doesn't have to be perfect downward dog. As you come into a plank, bring that right knee in and out. Lay that right foot down, right knee down, and start to slide that left foot back. And now use your props. You're going to feel where things are hanging out. We just don't want to hang out on the knee ligaments, on that hip. Use your props, a block or a blanket, or fold up your blanket. Blanket's a little bit softer. And find your nice level hips. Walk your hands. Think about that little scrub action. Let the chest dip. Lengthen the spine, drawing it towards the top of your mat as you press the chest up. Use your blocks if you like. Long arms, shoulders back. Ears right over your shoulders. Notice now where you're feeling that sensation of stretch. Notice that right, if you're more on the right side of your hip, can you level off across the hips? And then just take a little peek back at that left leg and left foot and see if you can bring them in line with your hips. And then we'll take our time, come down onto the forearms, either using your block. You can stop here on your forearms first. Take a breath or two. Can you roll that left hip a little bit more towards the mat? Imagine you're trying to hold a cup of tea on your back of your hips. Bring your forehead down either onto your block or stacked hands or fists. Think of the belly leading towards the floor. And pause here. If it gets too intense, just back out where you need to. If you find that the breath is shallow or shortened, or you're holding your breath, that means you're feeling some gripping or tension somewhere. So back out of that until you can find your nice, even breath. Finding a bit of stillness in this pose, pigeon pose, opening up the hips, the front of the thighs. Let's stay for 2 more breaths on this side, and then we'll slowly make our way out. All right, start to come up onto your hands. You can bend that left knee a little bit, curl the toes under. Press into the arms and the hands so you can lift the body up and step that right foot back. Downward dog is a nice stretch here now. Releasing that right knee. You can walk your dog a little bit. Bending one knee, press the opposite heel down. And now we're going to come to the other side. So you can come down to your knees. Take your props over to the other side. Blocks, blanket, and then come back to hands and knees. Setting up, using whichever method you would like, either on the knees. Draw that left knee in and out to the outer left side of your mat. Start to draw that left foot across your mat. Maybe the shin is parallel. Don't force that to happen. Or let's do the downward dog version. As you come into a plank, draw your left knee in, out to the side. Lay that left foot down. Lay the knee down. Start to shimmy and slide your right leg back. Take a little look back. See if you can tell if that foot and ankle are in line with your right hip. And then use your blocks or your props under your left hip. So this side could feel totally different. Either just that nice folded mat or a folded blanket, or you could fold it up one more time or use a block. Notice now, level up across the back of the hips. You want nice parallel hips to the top of your mat. Keep that left foot flexed. And then do that little scrubbing action, lengthening the spine. Dip the chest. Scrub the chest forward as you press into your arms. And walk the hands back. Roll those shoulders back. If you're feeling any jamming in your spine, then lower back down. Walk your hands to where it feels supportive to hold the weight of your body. See if you can let that right hip just roll a little bit towards the right side of your mat. And then we'll slowly come down onto forearms. Pause here. See if you're level across the back of your hips. Let that right hip roll towards the mat and the floor. Noticing your breathing. Can you let your exhales extend a little bit longer than your inhale? And if you're gripping or holding the breath, then back out of the pose as you need to. And then we can come down, resting our forehead either on the block, stacked hands or fists. Holding here for several rounds of breath. Just as you need to. Back out of the pose if you're gripping or holding. The breath doesn't feel easeful. And take yourself one more. Nice full extended breath. Slowly bring your hands onto the mat. Press your arms long. And what we can do here to come out of it is remove your props under your left hip. Roll onto that left hip. And come on out of it. All right, take the legs straight out in front of you. And let's roll the legs in and out. Give a little bounce, light bounce of the legs up and down on the floor. All right, you want to be very kind to your knees. So make sure you ease into this, or if that's not good for you, always come back to do eye of the needle. Okay, let's sit propped on our blanket. Nice and tall, supported position. And we'll close out this practice together, taking our nice closing breath. Inhale, draw your palms overhead. Exhaling, palms together and down. I thank you for joining this One Pose practice today. If you have any questions or comments, please leave your feedback. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you back tomorrow.